Dan Doctoroff is known as someone who took a lot of big ideas about New York City and pushed to make them a reality. From Citi Field to Hudson Yards, from the High Line to the City Bike program, from the Whitney Museum to Brooklyn Bridge Park, and more. At a time when the city's leadership is in crisis, we wanted to get the perspective of a man known for thinking ahead about what makes a city better.
3, 2, 1.
That was 2014. Dan Doctoroff, doused with an ice bucket by Mike Bloomberg in the challenge that raised money for ALS research. He spoke at the time about how both his father and his uncle died of ALS. 10 years later, Doctoroff has ALS. He was diagnosed in 2021. In the time he has left, he says he's doing as much as he can, as fast as he can, to help the next generation.
I won't stop until I can't anymore.
He believes ALS is solvable, and he's using decades of relationships in New York City and beyond to try to get it done. Doctoroff's public profile in New York goes back decades. He was at his most visible as deputy mayor to Mike Bloomberg. Doctoroff told me he got results in government by setting ambitious goals and setting deadlines to get things done. He believes most problems are solved through perseverance. This year, his friends documented the big New York ideas he championed in a book called The Urbanist. The biggest of those ideas was the bid for the 2012 Summer Olympics.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to London.
As we know now, New York lost to London. Doctoroff and Bloomberg were at the IOC meetings in Singapore in 2005 when they got the bad news.
I don't think there's anything else we could have done. I wouldn't change a thing.
And then so many of those New York Olympic ideas still became reality.
It was a catalyst for real change.
Citi Field was part of that Olympic bid.
This new stadium is about optimism. It's about optimism for the future of New York City.
The new Yankee Stadium also tied to the Olympic bid. So was much of the development on the East River, and Hudson Yards, and the 7 train extension. If you latched on to it, you didn't take no for an answer.
Yeah, that's true. I was pretty fanatical about getting things done.
To the point of sometimes pushing harder than people would have liked.
Yeah.
Doctoroff went all in on his favorite projects, and he expected the same of those who worked with him. Though he says when his team was on the receiving end of an outburst, they knew why he was pushing so hard.
They knew I loved them, and I was committed to them.
Looking at New York now, he says the city has unmatched energy, and he says energy produces ideas. But then you need leadership.
We want to build a better future for our children and grandchildren.
Do we have that leadership now?
In parts.
In parts, he says, but it's incomplete. In his words, there's a stench of corruption at City Hall, and with a revolving door of deputies, Doctoroff says Eric Adams lacks the continuity to get stuff done.
And that was the Board of Estimates space at one point or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
As we look through his book, he reminisced about Mike Bloomberg's early days in City Hall. Bloomberg famously pulled top aides out of their private offices and put them all together in one big room, the bullpen.
It was a team that got things done.
As Doctoroff looks at present-day New York, he regrets not pushing even more for housing development. Housing affordability, he says, may be our biggest obstacle to growth and prosperity. And he's happy to talk about that. But his energy now is on ALS research.
There is no greater purpose for me.
And he's focused on his family.
I said to my kids when I was diagnosed, I want 5 grandchildren in 5 years. And they're on track.
They're working on it.
Yeah.
Doctoroff says there's nothing that matters more in life than relationships and purpose. After our interview, Doctoroff wrote a guest column for the New York Times, just appeared last week, and he ramped up his concerns about Mayor Adams. He wrote, Mayor Adams has to go. He should resign, or Governor Kathy Hochul should remove him. He said quite simply that the way the city government is running right now is not the way that a government should run.
And right after he said that, he went on to say these are the 5 things that need to happen for New York City to really thrive and have that sort of matched energy that he was talking about. You know, he talked about housing and crime, but he said there needs to be some kind of big project that New Yorkers can see get done to get some excitement going.
Yeah, and the Adams administration pushed through that announcement last week about redesigning Fifth Avenue in the style of the Champs-Élysées in Paris. He said that is a big idea, but he's thinking there needs to be something even bigger to really push and be a catalyst for the city as the Olympic bid was.
And then in terms of the ALS research, he understands that the work that he's doing is not necessarily going to benefit him, but he's trying to help future patients.
No, he knows that it's too advanced to help him. But they're up to 340, I assume, almost $350 million in fundraising now. So he thinks that they will make progress, maybe not in his lifetime.
It's beautiful work he's doing.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your communities, click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV for the latest news and weather updates every 10 minutes and more. We'll see you then.